I just start off this, I guess probably heard the news that we're, I think he's signing his extension pretty quick here. Hopefully get him out to practice, but really excited for Jordan Love, his family. You know, he's been through a lot here. He's worked his tail off, and he's certainly earned this. So we're very, very excited to kind of have some stability at that position and kind of get, you know, past this part of it. Really proud of how he handled himself through all this, and got to give a lot of credit to Russ Ball and David Mulugeta and Andrew Kessler, the agents for Jordan, of getting through this. These things are not easy. They take time, and they can be complicated, but very professional the way that thing went down, and excited to get it done. So it'll be good to see him out of practice hopefully today.
Brian, you gambled on him all the way back to April of 2020. Why were you so steadfast all along that this was the guy, and what does it feel like, I guess, maybe to have it pay off like this for both?
Yeah, I mean, there's no absolutes in this business, as you guys know, and but certainly he was a very gifted player. As we got to know him in the pre-draft process, who he was fit what we wanted here, from a culture perspective. We thought he had really, there was nothing he couldn't do that we were going to ask of our quarterback. We knew he needed some time, and he needed to develop, and he needed to play. And I think once when you really get to know these guys is when you get them in your building, you get them in your process, and you get to see how they work and how they kind of endear themselves to their teammates, how important it is to them. And certainly since he's been here, he's checked all those boxes, And I think as we moved along and he progressed, and we realized that he was going to be the next guy. And then seeing how he handled that this past year, becoming the guy, handling that pressure, coming out the other side of it, just gave us a lot of confidence. I think that this is a guy that's going to lead us into the future, and we're really excited about that.
What sort of pushed it over the edge to get done? Did Tua's deal have anything to do with it? And you mentioned structure the other day.
Yeah.
Was that kind of the last part of it? Or?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, again, we won't get into the details of the contract, but I don't think anything that happened yesterday was, pushed it over the edge, so to speak. We were very, very close over the last few days. There's always little things that you're trying to work through that are important to us, important to them. Again, I give those they're his agents and Russ a ton of credit for finding common ground, and feel really good about where we're at, and good to get it behind us so we can just concentrate on football now.
You said the things he had to go through, and then you guys realizing that he was going to be the next guy. I mean, there were times, I'm sure you saw it too during practice those first couple of years, where I don't know if you could have known if he was the guy or not, right? There were some inconsistencies.
No, I think all along. I mean, he made so many big plays early on. He had so many wild throws. It just was the consistency. I think that's the thing. And I mean, as we got to know him early, we realized it was just going to be a matter of time. Now he's got to do it, right? Like you can't put it before that. But I think we saw it. It was just a matter of, okay, how long will it take him to become consistent in these things? And but the talent, I mean, the overwhelming ability to throw the ball, move, athleticism, all that stuff was apparent right away. Again, it was a really weird kind of transition in the NFL with COVID and no preseason. And he was a guy that needed to play. He was a young player coming out of Utah State and needed games under his belt, and just early in his career wasn't able to get that. So, but again, really proud of him for his focus, his determination. And then I think just, we got to certain moments during the course of his kind of development where he was taking over with the ones, and then everything started to accelerate. And then you realized that he just needed to play. And then we got through that part of that season early last year, and then everything took off.
So what I was going to ask was, so you said on Monday, it's not like we're having to decide whether he's the franchise quarterback or not, right? So, but at the same time, you just said he does have to prove it. So was part of the process kind of figuring out, okay, we know he's the guy, we love this guy, we're very confident in him, but we do only have 10 games of like really, really good football from him. Was that part of the process, or was that not really an issue in your mind?
As far as the process with the contract?
Like figuring out
Yeah.
to pay someone who has
Right.
a lot of talent, but maybe not a more full resume.
Yeah, I think that it's circumstantial, right? It's just kind of the way things unfolded. I guess if things would have unfolded differently, then it would have been different. But certainly the way he finished and the way he progressed, not only him, but our whole football team. And obviously he's the leader of our offense and our team. But yeah, I think it's certainly we did something last year to give us some time to get to this point, which again I think really helped us, from that perspective. Get to this point right now, and I think it's in my opinion the hardest position to play in all of sports, and to have a guy that you really believe in and that has done things the right way all the way through is a very comforting feeling.
So Brian, I mean, you committed to him for the next you know, a couple of years going forward, what's kind of the projection or what went through your mind of what Jordan Love can be in those next steps?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think, I think what gives me comfort is that I know that he's going to work to be whatever he can be, the best version of himself. He's done that consistently since he's been here. And to see his learning and his growth over that time, I don't expect that to change. I think that's the one thing, again, that I feel really good about is that, we're not just because of the contract, we're not going to ask him to do anything more than he's been doing. We want to be himself and keep doing what he's been doing. If he does that, then I really don't think, there's a limit on what he can accomplish.
Financially, as far as the cap goes, is there a challenge here when we have that gigantic of a contract of building a team around him?
Yeah, I think there always is. Whenever you have these big contracts, there's some challenges that we've dealt with that pretty much, for the past, I don't know however many years. So that's part of it. But I would rather be dealing with this challenge than some others. So that'll be part of it. And it'll be important that we continue to draft well and make good decisions along the way. But having that position stable and a guy who we know can perform at a high level, I'll take that every day.
When it comes to like historic days for this organization and what this means for you guys moving forward, where does this rank on the ranks?
That's probably, I'm not sure I can answer that question. It's for us, it's just, hey, now we can just get to focusing on football, and the team and moving forward and trying to accomplish what we're going to try to accomplish this year. But, again, I think it's certainly important for him, no doubt about it. The stability that this gives him, I think, allows him to kind of head into the season without a whole lot of pressure on him, comparative to maybe what it would have been. So, but now it's just about these guys, putting the work in, getting better, and hopefully that'll start with him today.
That when you drafted him, obviously there was a lot on your shoulders, a lot of people criticizing that decision when you drafted him. I know maybe not in the history of the franchise, but for you personally, to see it play out the way it has when you took such a risk, and the reward is now where it's at, is it one of the more rewarding things of your career so far?
Not the contract thing. I mean, for me, it's about our football team and winning. Really happy for him and his family. I'm happy for the Packers. But these things are nice. Nobody gets into it, usually for this. This is more about winning, and I think getting beyond this is helpful to that. It'll be a positive thing going forward. So that's what I'm focused on. That's, I think, what we do this for. But certainly for him, I'm excited for him and his family.
The market for quarterbacks has exploded. Are the numbers basically just what you thought they'd be?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of roughly knew kind of a range of where it was going to be, and it's where it fell. It's the hard part for me sometimes is like when you kind of know that, you'd love for it to be done quicker, but it never transpires that way. It always takes time, and the one thing I think that, again, I'm very pleased, Jordan showed up when the rookies and quarterbacks, showed up. He's been engaged in everything 100% with the exception of going out there and practicing. So, I'm really pleased that that's the kind of way that he approached it. Certainly would have loved him out there and expected him to be out there at practice, but the fact that he did all the other things, I think made this easier to get done.
Is there more than a 1 year window like this year where you don't get slammed from a cap standpoint? Do you have is it more than just 1 year?
Yeah, I think it is going to be more than this one, Tom. I think there's, again, it's certainly going to, like Bill was talking about, it's going to create some challenges down the road. I think our football team as a whole, not just Jordan's contract, but our football team as a whole is in really good shape. Russ has done a great job, and I certainly think, the kind of the young players that we went with last year has been helpful to that, to get us out of kind of where we were. But the next few years, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. There'll be some challenges down the road, no doubt.
You were out there on the field with him a couple of times up here. Could you get a sense of how bad he wanted to get back out there? I know he was standing there with the team, but it seemed that he was, a lot of players wouldn't get back out there and still be with the team during the situation. Could you get a sense of how bad he wanted?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a great question for him. We talked every day, but I could, I did feel so that there was an uncomfortable part of him that really wanted to be out there and be with his teammates. You know what I mean? There's, and he's always kind of been that way. Even when he was sitting behind Aaron, I think he always wanted to be the guy loves to be out there. He loves football. He loves being with his teammates. So yeah, this wasn't easy for him. You know, I think he very much believed it was the right thing to do for him and his family, and I respect that greatly. But this wasn't easy for him.
On field is one thing, but what have you seen from him from your seat as far as the leadership side of it and kind of the role that he's taken on these last 4 years?
Yeah, we've talked about that in here before. I think just how steady he is, how consistent he is with his approach. He's never really changed. You know, he has excellent work ethic. He works at it. It's very important to him. His teammates see that. I think whether it's, you know, the ups and the downs and all the things you go through, he just doesn't seem to flinch. He doesn't seem to, you know, react. All these guys feel pressure at different times, but he's just, I think he's very kind of focused to get through those things. And, you know, he's been through a lot of different kind of adversity, whether it's been off the field or on the field. And he just, I think he has a very good way of handling those things and getting to the other side of them.
Brian, what's your relationship been like with Jordan from the time that you drafted him, he came in, and then to today?
Again, he's very consistent. He's very steady. He's a really easygoing guy to deal with. And I'm like I said, when it's come to things where he's had to make decisions on things and tough things, you know, I've always been, you know, I've always been really pleased with the decisions that he's made. So no, yeah, really, really good.
Are you projecting the cap could get to say 300 million by 2026? So let's just say he's not gobbling up a quarter of your cap in 2 years. Is that something that kind of factored? Did you project it that way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can never, those things are never, I mean, after going through COVID, you always have a little bit of a, you know, because things can change in a hurry. So a little bit of that, understanding where this thing's going. But at the same time, for me, it's more about, you know, this position is the most important position in our football team, right? And having that secure, having a guy that you feel can play at a high level, win games, is really, really important. So, you know, nothing really starts until you have that, right? So we do, and we're excited about it, and now we got to go do it. But, you know, certainly I think the jump in the cap this year and kind of the expected, you know, curve of where it's going is probably why you're seeing a lot of the things that are happening and, you know, within the market right now.
You said that you knew the range that this would fall in, which is quite different maybe than anyone expected a year ago. No one really knew what he would do. At what point was it that you came to realize that it was going to take top of the market to extend?
I don't know, sometime right after the season last year, you know, as we kind of headed down this way, you know, obviously we were talking about it during the season and what it might look like. It certainly did change as we went through some of the off season, but not, you know, not incredibly. But yeah, we started talking obviously with his representatives very early after the season, and you know, again, you'd love for these things to go quickly, but they never do. But there's certainly some of the contracts that have happened over the course of the off season kind of cemented exactly where we kind of felt it was going to probably end up.
Back to your answer to Wes, how important is that steadiness and his personality when you're investing the way you are? Like, I think we all can tell that he's not going to be the complacent guy who gets paid and then stinks. On the flip side, maybe he's a little bit like, I remember Randall Cobb when he got his extension. He actually was so conscientious about it, he wanted to justify it and put that kind of pressure. The fact that Jordan's pretty even-keeled, or very even-keeled, how much does that reassure you about your investment?
Yeah, I think just having him here for the last 4.5 years and watching him go through all the different things he's gone through and how he works and again, you're right. I mean, there's a pressure that comes with that, and guys deal with that different ways. But he's had a lot of pressure before in different situations, and he seemed to handle it well. So we certainly would expect him to handle this. He loves football, and he loves to play, and this is really important to him. And usually guys like that, no matter what the pressure is around him, can kind of focus on what's important to him, and that's what we expect.
You say that a lot. He loves football, about him and about other guys you draft. Can you tell that there are guys that are talented enough to play in the league that don't love it, and are those the kind of guys that maybe make you a little nervous from a scouting perspective?
Oh, 100%. And we talk about that a lot. In fact, our scouts are in now, and we spend a lot of time talking about about how important that is to us, and then trying to figure that out, because it's not always easy. And quite frankly, priorities change and things change as players progress, through their careers as well. So, yeah, it's really important to us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
actually do at practice today?
I would expect him to do everything with the ones. So today is our high volume day, although we can only be out there from a time constraint for an hour and 45. So, but it'll be a lot of team reps, and I would expect him to take the majority of those.
You guys need to ramp up to get to work.
I mean, he's been ramping up. It's just you guys haven't seen it.
So what have we missed behind the scenes, kind of to keep him so he's ready to roll here?
Yeah, he's been throwing every day after practice, and he's had guys catch him for him, and he's been doing a good job with that.
Matt, just seeing what he's put into this the last 4 years, just what does this kind of mean to see him now finally get rewarded and, you know, be the
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Anytime you see, especially the progress that he's made, you know, coming in to just, I mean, not dressing a whole bunch his rookie year to you know, having that first start versus Kansas City and didn't go the way any of us wanted it, but just to see that steady, consistent approach, a steady progression, those incremental improvements. I was talking to Wallers about this. You know, I think we've seen a lot of flashes. He always had the talent. There's a reason he was drafted in the first round. I mean, the talent was always there. It's just the consistency which he would go out there and perform. Obviously, there's a lot to learn when you come to this level, not only fundamentally for the quarterback, but from a protection standpoint and having complete command of the offense. We do a lot of different things. And, you know, I could see a different, I don't want to say a different approach, but I felt like he was, as time went on, he got more and more intentional about his work. And you could see him learning and doing different things each and every day. But for us, I would say that 22 season, you could just see more and more from him in regards to, I thought he had a pretty good, although the numbers didn't say it, I thought he had a pretty good preseason in terms of how we evaluate the quarterback. And it's all process-based, not result-based. And then what he would do in scout team periods. I thought he did a great job of putting a lot of stress on our defense and making throws. And quite frankly, I think that's when you can experiment as a quarterback and learn about the things that you can and can't get away with. And he was just, you know, really diligent and super intentional about the work he put in.
When did you, along those lines, when did you conclude that, yeah, this is our guy?
Well, like I just said, I think, you know, we felt obviously pretty comfortable with him after that 22 season and to move forward. And, you know, I think even last year, early on, obviously the season started out great versus Chicago, and then we had a couple setbacks. But I think it was just, there was, like many people, many quarterbacks or many younger players in this league, there's some inconsistencies that can show up. But the thing that's so impressive about him is just how resilient he is. Like, never gets phased, just continues to fight. And I think that says a lot about him. And I think that's a big reason why we're standing here today talking about him, is just the resiliency that he has and the kind of teammate he is and the work that he's going to put in. So, yeah, it's awesome to see him get rewarded for that.
I don't know if this would change your answer or not, but I mean, your guy is in the sense of that he's worth this, you know, contract that makes him, you know, one of the highest paid guys.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, shoot, it's hard to argue that anybody played better the back half of the season last year. I did a lot of great things, and I think even going through our struggles, we were probably better for it going through some struggle. I think most people are. You go through some struggle, you stay resilient, you come out the other side, you're usually better for it. And I think there's a lot of growth and learning along the way. And, yeah, the back half of the season, I mean, he played as well as anybody in the league.
What's the next step for him to kind of build on that success he had late last season and to where can he get even better?
I just think that, I mean, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. I don't care what level you're at. There's always, in my opinion, there's always something more that you can achieve. And I think it's just getting out there and, like we talked about earlier, just being consistent and, you know, taking what the defense is giving you and try to make everybody around you better. And I think what he's got such a great command of right now is he's got such an unbelievable command of our offense. He knows all the details, the ins and outs. He can help the other guys. He can coach the other guys up on the field, and it's pretty impressive.
Have you at any point, maybe during the offseason, just taken a moment and recognized, I mean, to go from Aaron to Jordan, that just doesn't happen in this league. You see teams go into the abyss of quarterback play for decades. Like, have you kind of taken a moment to realize how special that is?
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's incredible talent coming in this league each and every year. I just think, you know, a lot of these guys get put into some situations that it's going to be tough for anybody to go in there and overcome, whether they have talent around them or a lot of them aren't quite frankly, aren't ready to play ball. And so I think if you just look at the history, whether it was Jordan or Aaron or even Pat Mahomes sat his rookie year for the majority of it. I think, would he have one start? I think there's a lot of good, a lot of benefit to allowing these guys to come in this league to try to soak it all in and not play too early. I mean, it was with Kirk Cousins and saw the benefits of that in Washington. So I think there's a lot of good examples across the league of guys coming in, kind of waiting their turn a little bit and learning enough and hopefully building up your roster around these guys so they can go out there and have success, because it's not all about the quarterback. You can't do it by yourself. It's not like basketball where a guy can just go and dominate a game, although we have seen guys be able to do that to some level. But, I mean, you got 10 other men out there on the field with you, and if they're not playing, if the play around you is not great, it's hard for you to be great.
Speaking of that, how hard has it been to evaluate your quarterback play, given that the defensive front is causing some major issues for your offense?
Yeah, I love seeing that. I love seeing it. That hopefully our defense up front is as good as I think they can be, and so yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think the D-line are pushing our O-line to get better each and every day. It'll be really interesting now that we have pads. I think it takes on a whole new dynamic. It's more real football. You know, it's easier to, quite frankly, it's easier to grab onto some cloth when you got pads on, and so it'll be interesting to see how our O-line responds over the course of the next few weeks.
I know you knew this was close, and I know you were eager for it to get done. How did this play out for you last night? You know, I know you were in the loop, but how did it kind of play out yesterday evening?
Yeah, well, Waller sent me a text message that it got out, so it got out before I even knew it was official.
Matt, how do you think Jordan will handle being the face of the organization? You know, one of the highest paid players in the league, and you know, do you need more from him from leadership standpoint, from being more outspoken?
I think he's done a really good job with that, but I think it goes back to whom much is given, much is expected, and that's just the reality of our league. And but I think he'll embrace that. I don't think you'll see a difference in the person, and I don't think we would do something like that if we felt that way. And so I think he's been raised the right way. I always joked about him, if he ever changes, I'm going to call his mom. And but he's been raised the right way. I think he's about the right stuff, and his teammates really certainly respect him. They respect the man. They respect the work he puts in. They were fired up today to have him back in the fold.
You get to talk to him last night?
Yeah, I FaceTimed him. As soon as I found out, I FaceTimed him right away, and I don't think you could wipe that smile off his face. He was pretty happy.
What was that moment like for you, and what did you have to say to him after it finally goes through?
I mean, I just congratulated him, just, again, about the perseverance, the work he's put in, and just really happy for him, his family. I mean, that's a different kind of wealth now. So, but shoot, he's earned it, and we're excited.
Matt, what did you find out about Sean during these 4 days? He was explaining to us, like, the pick that he threw behind Wicks and it got deflected. That ball's supposed to go backside to Dobbs, and he had not thrown that play before. And then you guys called it again in the next 11 on 11, and he hit Dobbs on 3rd and 4. Like, I know he didn't have the results maybe that he would have liked for a lot of the plays, but did you find out something more about a guy who, if you look around the league, most guys don't play every single game as starters, that stuff happens. Did you find out some things about him that you didn't know, or?
No, I think last year, just going back and watching how he responded in that Cincinnati preseason game, I think he threw a pick six, and then he comes back and leads the team down for a score, and I think that, you know, kind of is a testament to who he is and what he's all about, and you know, to me, it's about the learning and the development, and you know, if you make a mistake, can you learn from it and not make the same mistake twice? So, you know, we're still super high on him. We're not down on any of these guys. We know it's a process, and I know we all want those instantaneous results, but many times that's not reality. So we're going to keep on chipping away and try to push these guys to get better and better each day.
Having Jordan back in the mix at training camp, what does that do for your football team?
I think, yeah, it makes us more whole. We're still missing a couple guys, but anytime he's one of the leaders on this team. I think he showed great leadership last year, and so it kind of comes with the position naturally, and so I think it'll certainly give everybody a boost, not just the offense, but I think the defense as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.